I was a corporate person working in IBM in Mumbai. 2004, I took the crucial decision in my life and decided to quit my corporate life and come and stay in this village. I've been here for the last 21 years. One of the most common questions which I am asked is, are you happy? You can't be nothing else but happy in a place like this. I actually have been born and brought up in Mumbai. I got educated in Mumbai and of course I started working also in Mumbai. So you can say that I am a true Mumbaiker. It was somewhere around 1992. I met Meena and we got married. Like all young couples, we initially stayed on rent and then we scrimped and saved. A couple of years later, we managed to buy a small one-bedroom flat in Goregaon. We were living the urban dream, you know. Both of us were working, of course. It was quite comfortable. It was in the early 2000s that we felt that Mumbai was changing. It was no longer the old Mumbai that we were used to. It was getting more crowded, more noisy, more polluted. And there were times when I used to feel that, I was listening more to FM than to my family. I was spending more time in the car and that was really getting to us. We were basically outdoor people. We used to hike a lot. We used to love the nature. The thought came to us that, okay, why don't we look for a place outside Mumbai where we could run away in the weekend and, spend a couple of days in peace and tranquility and then come back all charged up back to the city. So with that purpose, we started looking for land. Every weekend we used to drive all around Mumbai into the remote areas, trying to see whether we could get a piece of land, the idyllic dream house, with a little river and a little mountain and, some trees, and we would have a bungalow in the middle where we can relax in the weekend. Meena was doing some research on organic cotton. And as part of her research, she used to travel to the villages, stay with the farmers and, document what they were doing, And she used to come back from her travels and, narrate these stories of the farm life and how the farmers lived, etc. I personally have never lived in a village. So I found these stories fascinating, It was somewhere in 2003 that, once we were discussing about village life and, how they lived a different life compared to our urban life. I suddenly popped a question to her and asked her, what do you think if I became a farmer? She said, why not? She said, if 65% of the country can do farming, you can also do it.
So I think it was a very good decision, though it seemed a little brutal at that time to quit a fancy job, high-paying job, and then come here where there was practically nothing. I think it's important to do things when you want to do things. If you don't do things when you want to do them, then you may not get the chance.
That was the day the seed was sown, and I decided that I wanted to be a farmer. So the first thing that you do when you have some new idea, as usual, is you discuss it with your colleagues. So I went back to my workplace, gathered all of them and told them that, guys, this is my idea. I'm going to leave my job and become a farmer. You won't believe it. Not a single person told me it was a stupid idea. They all said, Venkat, great, go ahead. I said, hello. If it's such a great idea, how come you guys are not doing it and why should it be me who is doing it? One guy told me, boss, I just bought a 2 BHK. I have to pay the EMI. Another guy said, my father is always not well. I have to keep taking him to the hospital. I can't do this. The third guy said, you know where my son goes? He goes to Ambani school. He said, half my salary goes in the fees. That's when it struck me that deep within each person had this desire to break away, to leave the mad rat race, to leave the city and go back to the village. But there were some things which were pulling them down and they were not able to take that decision. So I decided that, okay, this is a chance for me and I need to take the risk and do it. One of my colleagues, Rajesh, he told me, he said, guy, you're doing something which you don't know. So have you done your financial planning? I said, I don't know what you're talking about. He said, no, you have to do your financial planning. You have not done it. I realized that what he said was correct. I needed to plan. which I had not done. I started thinking about my life. When I first joined in 1989 in Rallies India, my salary was 750 rupees. Out of that 750 rupees, I used to give 500 rupees to my mother and I was left with 250 rupees. At the end of the month, I was back to zero and I used to borrow 100 rupees from her. It was now 15 years later, I was earning a 5-figure salary in IBM. I was still in the same position. I still at the end of the month, I was short of cash and we were using plastic money. At the end of the day, I realized that the goalpost is shifting. It doesn't matter how much you earn. It is never going to be enough. So with that in mind, I started doing my planning. I opened my spreadsheet and we listed down all our assets, whatever we had, the house and whatever. We had listed down our liabilities, the various loans that we had taken, the housing loan, the car loan, etc., all that we listed down. And then we came up with this problem. We didn't know how much it would cost to live in a village. So we called up a few people that Meena knew who lived in the village and tried to find out, what could be an ideal figure for a family to live in a village. Maybe 7,500 should be enough for a couple to stay in a village. We started back calculating. So I called up my office in Bangalore and found out how much money I would get if I quit the job in terms of provident fund and gratuity, etc. We had around 14 lakhs with us, out of which we said, okay, we'll keep about 1 lakh of rupees as contingency. The rest of the money, we said we'll put in FDs so that we get an income of 7,500. And the balance money which was there, which was around 8-9 lakhs, was earmarked for the buying the land. That is all we had. That was the budget we formed. This exercise helped us in gaining confidence. We had the confidence that, okay, we have thought about almost everything, so maybe, God willing, it will work. So December 31st, 2003, I was relieved from my job in IBM. On 1st January 2004, I was a free man. So I did not have client meetings, no presentations, no calls, no conference calls, and of course, no salary. I was a free man, so I could look for land more purposefully and spend more time looking for land. So when we first came to see the land somewhere in 2003, the land was in a pretty bad shape. But then we walked through the land and finally we came to the banks of the river. We got a sense of happiness. We got a sense of fulfillment. And that was the moment when we decided that it doesn't matter how bad the land is and how badly it has been kept. This is the place that we need to get. And finally, by God's grace, we did get it. We bought this land at 8.5 lakhs. Okay, that was in 2004. And today we are in 2026, almost worth 1.5 or probably even more. अब वैसे देखेंगे तो like people say, अरे भाई 8 लाख में खरीदा और आज कहाँ पहुँच गया तू. Question है कि जब बेचना ही नहीं है तो मतलब ही नहीं है. हमको तो यहीं रहना है, बस हम यहीं खुश हैं. हमें चाहे 1.5 करोड़ हो या 2 करोड़ हो, वो तो सब पेपर पे है. So the initial first time when we moved here and we started staying here in 2004, it was a culture shock because we always lived in Bombay, so we were used to the fast life of Bombay, the nightlife and the noise, the light, the ambient. But actually we took a conscious decision that we wanted to leave that. We wanted to move out of that urban setting and come to a peaceful, spiritually enhancing situation, and which is what we found was available in this village. Far away, not very far, it's about 100 kilometers from Mumbai, but still it's not Mumbai. Our idea of this farm for peace and tranquility and not for profit. We did not intend to have this farm for profit. With that in mind, we started our agriculture activities. And today we have a range of crops. We have rice, pulses, oil, spices, fruits, a lot of fruits, and seasonal vegetables. Only for ourselves. If there's any excess, we sell it on. So the question that arises is that then how do you all live here? Neither of us are working. we are at the farm. In today's life, you do need some money. You can't survive with zero money. So besides the rent which we get, currently it's about 30,000 we get from Mumbai, from the flat. We do have a corpus of about 16 lakhs in the bank, which gives us about, I think about 10 to 11,000 as interest on the FD. And that gives us about 42, which is what, and there is some pension, some small amounts, which comes from LIC for us on a monthly basis. That could be about 2,000-3,000 rupees. And from that, we have some expenses here, like I have labor who comes here. We have a help who comes to the house, and so their salaries, etc. That would come to around 12,000 rupees. And besides that, we spend a little bit on our, other expenses other than food. So let's say, I would say about 20 to 25,000 rupees would be our expenses. So the interest along with the rent gives us enough money to live a comfortable life at the village. A lot of people come and ask me this question, that we want to do what you have done, we want to replicate it. I personally feel that to do something like this, you basically need courage, you need passion, and you need patience. I feel these are the three things that is required. If you think in terms of money, there's not much of money. If you say that, oh, if you had been in IBM, you would have got X lakhs of rupees. Yes, that is true. But that does not necessarily translate into happiness. I still keep in touch with my colleagues in IBM. So we keep meeting for a small get-together or reunion kind of thing. And we keep discussing, what are you doing and what is this one up to, what is that one up to. And let me tell you, their designations are fantastic, okay? But let me tell you one thing, is that no matter what they are doing and whatever positions they are, they all seem to be envious about what I'm doing. And they all want to do this. So that's a current situation. So I don't think money is the point, It is a question of your happiness. It is a question of what you want to do in life. Do you want to continue slaving for someone and continue in the rat race, or you want to give it up and do something meaningful in life? So these are the choices that one has to make. And the choice I made is quite evident. I did not want the designation. I opted for being a farmer.